die.
Hey, whoop, I forgot that. First blooper. Hey, everybody, welcome into HabNormals. It's our 49th show. We have a special guest tonight. We got Trege Wilson of Habs Unfiltered podcast and the Hockey Writers. We are going to talk about last week's games. We are going to talk about next week's games, just some predictions. We're going to talk about the three Habs, the 3 stars of the week for the Habs. And then our main topic is Monty versus Dobes. Is there a goalie controversy happening in Montreal? And we're also going to discuss the Coach Marty effect. And to do that, I have with me, just below me, that's Trege Wilson from Habs Unfiltered and the Hockey Writers. How's it going, Trege?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Thanks. And beside him over there is my regular co-host, Matt. I forgot your name there for a sec. I'm not having a good night tonight.
What's going on, peeps?
All right. So it says here bullshit talk. So we have to talk about bullshit. Before we get into last week's games.
McDavid? You said bullshit. Well, I kind of want to touch on that because I think the Oilers are ridiculous.
You better explain yourself.
Come on. He tried to take What's-His-Face's head off with the cross-check. Like, that's a suspension all day, every day.
He got suspended.
I don't give a shit who you are.
Did he not get suspended, though?
He got suspended 3 days, and the Oilers released a statement about how they're with him through the process and blah, blah, blah. Like, really?
I'm gonna play devil's advocate on that. The process that led to him cross-checking him in the face, he literally got mugged the entire shift by this guy. And I mean, there should have been 4 penalties called on the guy for.
No, I know. There were certainly some holdings that should.
What Edmonton did is kind of a now you just look like a bunch of wussies or whatever. You know what I mean? The suspension is good. 3 games. I mean, McDavid is known for putting the elbow up and hitting people and getting away with it.
He is.
Eichel did it the other night too.
Yeah, but he the 3 games is good. I mean, Matthews did the same thing, and he got 2 games there against Buffalo there a couple years ago. But the underlying issue is the fact that now that we have the instigator rule and you're getting rid of the enforcer, nobody's there to protect the star player. So the star players like McDavid, Crosby, Pasternak, I want to say Kucherov, but I can't stand the guy, so I don't care what happens to him.
You can put Nick Suzuki in there.
Suzuki, all these star players, they're not protected anymore. So other players can.
I don't know. Nick Suzuki, I think, has a pretty good.
Well, he does. He does. I mean,
a couple of pretty good bastards behind him that'll beat the crap.
So I mean, you don't have that protector anymore, and so players can pretty much do whatever they want to the star players, and the NHL does not market their star players or protect their star players like every other league does. Now, I'm not saying go all friggin' Patrick Mahomes and, let him get away with everything and call everything that touches him a penalty. What I'm talking about is, you see a guy like McDavid or Crosby and they're getting hacked and slashed, start calling it. You know what I mean? Like, let these guys go. Let these guys play. They're bringing fans into every arena they go to, right? People want to see them flash and dash. If it's a penalty, call the penalty. Like, I mean, if they're going to kind of hack and whack a bit at, I don't know, Jake Evans, say, okay, maybe you can let a little bit go if it's not too obvious, right? But when it comes to your star players, if you're not going to let a hockey player protect them, then someone else has to protect them. So I get that aspect, but Edmonton putting out the release and going, that's just all right. Now
that's what I mean. Like, I thought that was like way overdoing it. Like, you know what I mean?
They're acting like the Leafs. That's something the Leafs would do. I didn't see the play, so I can't really talk on.
The Leafs didn't do that when Matthews got suspended. I'll say that. They didn't put a release out.
No, but they whine about everything.
They do. I mean, Leaf fans whine, period, anyway. They're like Philadelphia fans whining because their boys just aren't as good as other boys.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I was told at the beginning of the year that Matvei Michkov was going to run away with the Calder, but
Listen, I've been saying this all along, and I take a lot of heat even from Habs fans. Michkov was not going to get used to the NHL way of playing. The ice is too small for him.
Rick, you and I were on that train too. We didn't really think so either.
The ice is too. Now, don't get me wrong. He's going to be a good player in the NHL.
Oh yeah,
but he's not going to be this elite 120 Kucherov type player in the NHL. He's just not, because he doesn't have the entire. He doesn't have the entire game. Yes, wizard with the puck. Yes, he looks good when he's doing stuff. But guess what? You're only 40 games into the season. It already looks like he's worn out. And you know what I mean? Like
he's definitely
the other team. The other team's already figured him out. They already figured him out.
He's kind of cherry picking now too. I think he's also like a -12 or 13 because he cherry.
Well, because that's what he does. He's doing the Phil Kessel. He's hanging out around the blue line when they're in the defensive zone.
Yeah.
I mean, he's useless back there anyway. I mean, Philly fans will argue, but he's, and that's fine. Like they're protective of their star player. I get that.
Right.
They're protective of their star. Let them, that's fine. But I'll be shocked if Michkov gets 60 points this year. To be honest with you.
What's your opinion on this though? If Hudson outpoints, I'll say Celebrini. I see that there's controversy of whether Hudson would get the Calder or not. I don't understand that. If he outpoints Celebrini, he's going to win the Calder, don't you think?
It depends. If Celebrini remains a point per game player, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of.
I see that.
That's pretty good too. Like so.
Yeah.
However, I don't understand. I think right now Celebrini is the forefront Calder guy. But I don't think Hudson's far behind him.
Hudson's got to be like right there, like sniffing it. You know what I mean?
Like Hudson's breaking records so far every game. Like, I think he has the longest point streak by a Habs rookie defenseman. I think he's,
he's got the longest assist streak by rookie.
He's on point. He's on pace to break the rookie defenseman scoring record. You know what I mean? Like, people are taking notice. He's a point per game player in his last 20 games.
Yeah.
So
he's been like a top 3 since December 1st. He's been a top 3 D man in the league.
He's number 6 in scoring it.
He's number 6 scoring overall.
Overall in defenseman, yeah.
And since December 1st, I think it's only Makar and Hughes that have been better than him.
Hughes and Werenski. I think he's got more points than Makar right now. Since December.
Oh, is it? Okay. I wasn't.
I think he's got more assists than Makar has total points. I'm not saying that lightly. I'm pretty, like last time I looked, that's what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I'd have to go.
I don't know either off the top of my head.
I'd have to go look it up. So, but
I think he's going to win the Calder. We haven't won a Calder here in since '72. So
Makar got 52 points, 37 assists. And but since December, I don't know what it's since. I'm just looking at the total.
Yeah,
so he's third for assists. He's way behind in goals, but he's 6th in points. I mean, he's only. How many points does he have? Hudson got 4. Where is it? Oh, sorry. Hudson got 39. So he's only, he's not close to Makar. 13 points away from Makar. So,
yeah, also Makar's been in the league, 4
years?
Well,
Makar's a Norris Trophy win. And I'll argue, too, like a lot of people will go, but he sucks defensively. Erik Karlsson sucks
not
defensively.
Lane
Hudson's one of the best defenders on the team.
He doesn't suck defensively. He has his moments.
Yes, of course, but
he's an offensive defenseman. Erik Karlsson was not good defensively. You can argue Quinn Hughes isn't good defensively. He's better now, but he wasn't in his first couple years. Makar's
certainly not as good as Lane Hudson's been defensively.
I think. I love the fact that fans all they talk about, like especially Sens fans. Oh, he does his head fakes and secondary assists, and it's like
that's Alex.
Like Alex. That's what Alex says about him.
Yeah,
but you realize how many of those secondary assists really made the goal? He was just
that's just it. I
what
hate this
mean.
argument over primary and secondary assists.
Oh,
Like,
I'm right there with you. dude.
unless you can prove the secondary assist had nothing to do with the play, he was just the last guy to touch the puck, then there's really no argument, right?
No.
So unless you watch it, like I would say he's almost 50% on primary and secondary assists anyway. I think
Yeah.
it's 54%.
Yeah, I think give or take maybe one or two.
It's give or take one or two assists. But if you look at the majority of secondary assists, it was because he kept the play alive. He kept the play in the zone.
Right.
You know what I mean? He got the he got the puck to
Right.
the open guy who got it. And then another person the other day is going, "Oh, well, he's a power play merchant." Actually, he's not. He only has 13 power play points. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's now.
I mean, it certainly looks that way when you have Patrick Laine to pass the puck.
I mean, Patrick Laine is a power play merchant because he's getting all his points on the power play. But, again, who cares how they score their points? Who cares how they get their points, right? It'd be different. Like, so this secondary primary assist argument, I hate it so much. It's like plus minus. Plus minus is the worst stat you can look at. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's not,
9.
not great.
He's a minus 10, and he's been on the ice for 9 empty net goals. So think of that for a second. That makes you a minus, right? I'm not saying he should be a -1, but I'm just saying, it's 9 empty net goals.
But as of late, like in his last 10, 15 games, his plus minus has been actually, I think he's a plus.
No, not until the Toronto game.
Not until the Toronto game, but up until the Toronto game,
-5 in the Toronto game.
He was a plus. He came back a little bit, but I mean, he's been good. And defensively, I'm sorry, but he's been pretty good defensively.
He is. I mean, yes, his size is a little bit of a factor. Some of the bigger forwards can,
sometimes,
like Willie Nylander did in the Toronto game, can just push him right off.
But then last night, Nick Paul, there's a few incidences all season where he bigger or small, he takes them out.
He positions himself well. He knows how to use his stick. He knows where to go on the ice.
His poke checks are brilliant. Like, I've seen him just stop plays dead in their tracks.
His hockey IQ is through the roof, and that's what I mean. According to some people, he doesn't put enough effort into the what is it? What did Promin call him? I
was going to ask you about Promin too, because I read that and I was like, all right, you need to be stripped of your creds.
I mean, I've met Promin a couple times. He's not a bad guy, but
I'm sure he's a nice guy, but Jesus Christ.
sticks to what he thinks. He's just, I mean.
What is it, average compete level?
Yeah, average compete level. That's what it was. There was a couple other prospects that he was saying.
I think he had Michkov in his top 5, and I'm like,
yeah. Oh,
and I'm just like, what?
Talk about an average compete level.
What? Is there a compete level there?
What's funny?
I mean, it's funny too. I was also told that Michkov's hockey IQ was higher than Lane Hudson's as well.
Yeah. Maybe offensively. Maybe offensively. I'm not going to take anything
all-around game, though. I don't think.
No, absolutely not.
I've seen the Flyers 4 or 5 times this season already. Not one game that I've seen has he gotten a point, or has he even was noticeable out there, Michkov.
Well, since December, I mean, I think he's only gotten 10 points since the last 20 games or something, and most of them in assists, secondary assists. I might add.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to play that argument,
right?
but
you should have had Alex on here.
Yeah. Listen, it's most secondary assists are actually good. I'd say it's a smaller percentage of secondary assists that they just touched it. It's like they didn't really have to be part of the play, but not most secondary assists.
Well, especially not with Lane Hudson. Like, how many times have we seen him literally bring the puck up and then, draw defenders to him, frees up another forward, he passes it, and then it's one more pass and in. It's like those goals don't happen without Lane Hudson starting the play.
That's what I say. If you're going to argue secondary assists, you have to actually watch the player. Like, I'll be honest, I don't watch enough of Matt Tevy Michkov to sit there and say, I just know from what I see, from the highlights I see, from what, I look at the point totals, natural stat, some of his numbers are better than I thought they would be. You know what I mean? Just by watching him play. But I mean, you can argue all you want. Oh, he's playing with shitty forwards on the team. He's not playing with the best forwards on the team. Well, maybe there's a reason for that. And then it's Tort's fault. Well, you all knew coming into it, Torts won a 200-foot game. So you know what I mean? Like,
and I think I said this last year too. I said I don't know how he's going to gel in that system.
But that's what I was trying to tell Alex, that maybe he's trying to, he's being a hot dog. He's trying to get him to learn something.
Torts is trying to get him to learn a 200-foot game. Now, I'm not saying Michkov's not trying to learn. I'm not saying he's not listening to him. Obviously, Torts isn't saying he's not listening to him, but his defensive game's not improving. Does he look more engaged?
Could take
in the does he look more? He's not a defensive player.
No,
I mean, I get that. He doesn't need to play. I mean, Phil Kessel made a living.
At least try. You know what I mean?
Like, at his age and at his point in his career, he has to at least show he's going to try. Like Phil Kessel got away for years because Phil Kessel scored 50 goals and whatever, and nobody cared, right? Michkov is on a team that's trying to make the playoffs. They're a rebuilding team. He needs to show that he can be a leader on that team and play. At least try to play in the defensive zone. Right. I'm not saying he doesn't. Again, I don't watch enough games to sit there, but my impression and from what I've seen and other,
from what I hear,
he's. I don't think he has the attitude everyone said he has. I think he's, willing to listen. I just don't know if he has it up here to actually go and get it done in the defensive zone. In the offensive zone, I'd give him all the IQ you want to give him. He knows what to do in the offensive zone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that might be the problem, right? Is that he is that good in the offensive zone. He thinks that's the only way he thinks. He's just not willing to do anything else.
And that's just
Some
it. And I mean,
guys are like that.
But you can teach that. I think that's what Torts is trying to do.
And that's why
again,
you
right?
sit
You get a guy like Torts trying to teach that, right?
Yeah.
And
then you have, the real comparison here is going to be Demidov when he comes into the league, because Demidov's going to break all Michkov's records this year.
Yeah, and I'm so happy because I
without
a doubt, Alex,
and
that would happen.
Not for nothing, and we'll get into this, but Marty St. Louis is also going to be his coach. So
yeah, so and when
Marty
Demidov
St. Louis,
comes,
John Tortorella, Marty St. Louis.
But I will say this: when Demidov comes into the league, I fully expect him to start on the third line. I fully expect him to start there.
See,
I think that's fair.
It depends. For me, I think second line, but I think if you're right, what we were talking about, where, they're going to have three lines that can score, then yeah, I could see that.
Well, the reason I think he's going to be there, I think Marty's going to start him there because he's not going to put all the pressure of him trying to be a top 6 forward right away.
Good point.
He's going to start. He's going to do the same thing he did with Slafkovsky. He's going to start him there. He's going to get him to work on things that he needs to work on for the NHL to be successful in the NHL.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then once that starts coming around, you'll see him pop up you'll see Newhook probably drop from the second line and him pop up onto the second line.
Yeah. I think that'll be during the season. I don't think it'll take Demidov all that long to adjust.
I don't think you'll see Demidov in the AHL. I don't think you'll see him there. I think
not for a second unless
Remember
he's
people
injured.
Thought Lane Hudson was going to have to start in the AHL?
I mean, at first,
at the time, maybe, but
I thought about it only because of contracts.
Yeah.
But and I was like, well, where are you going to put him? We got all these lefties.
Yeah.
I will say this: I'm not a huge fan of the Hudson Matheson pairing, just because you pretty much got two same type of defensemen.
Yeah, but I think how are they going to do it though?
I get that.
That Goalie Carrier pairing's been great.
That's been the best pairing, right?
How do you break
getting
that?
Goalie, getting Goalie on his proper side and having Carrier there with him. That's just been
someone that knows what the fuck he's doing, so Goalie doesn't have to keep looking over his shoulder.
Have you heard what Jack
said that too? I read Arpon wrote an article about it. Arpon Basu, and Goalie said it like in an interview. He's like, "Yeah, I know Carrier is gonna do his job, and I can focus on what I got to do." And I was like, "I've been saying that all year, this year and last year."
Makes a huge difference. Have you heard what Jack said about Savard, having Savard there? Savard's invaluable to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was on RDS.
When you say that they might move Savard at the deadline, I'm still not 100% sure that he may be more valuable to them if they're in a playoff position where they.
If they're that's the thing.
Way more valuable.
I'll be honest. I keep saying I don't think they will be, but then they keep winning. So it's hard to,
right? It's really hard.
It's really hard to say no, but I mean, they're the hottest team in the league since the first of January. This in 2025, they're the hottest team in the league. I think they're something like 13-3-1 in the last 17 games.
They are
So,
13-3-1. Yeah.
You know, so I keep saying, you know,
and they're not beating bad teams either. These are like some of the best teams in the league.
Well, I mean, when we get in to talk to Jacob Dobes, I'm going to bring that up too. But yeah, I mean, they're losing to teams like Chicago. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and the game against Toronto where they had the 3-0 lead and then just sat back and blew it. And,
okay, but I think that's an off night. You just put that one away. But
I do too. Yeah.
Losing to teams that are below them is something that's a Habs thing. They underplay the teams that are below them, and teams ahead, they play harder. It's a Habs thing.
It wasn't a Habs thing the last 2 years. The last 2 years, they usually always beat the teams
but before
them,
that.
even though there was only 2 or 3 of them.
I'm talking about before that, though. It was a Habs thing to play.
You're right. They played to the talent of the team they were playing against. And
so, you know, it's like
it's
normal. At least they're winning, though, right? Now,
I'll be honest, that loss kind of pissed me off.
The Leafs,
it really did. I'm like, that should not the Leafs one, the Chicago one. The Leafs one, I'm like you. I just chalked that up to a bad game, and all right. It was a bad game. Put it a great first period, and then they just shit the bed. Put it behind you and move on. They came back the next night and played a great game against the Rangers.
Awesome that they had a game the next night. I said it in my preview. Get right back on that horse.
Yeah.
Even though New York was playing well, still.
That game against Chicago, I don't know why it just pissed me off. I was so mad when they lost that game. It's like, oh my God, it's an easy 2 points. It's an easy 2 points, right?
We all thought that. But it was typical for Montreal to lose that game.
Yeah.
Right? Figured.
So.
All right, we're going to get...
you know, you did beat like the last 4 Stanley Cup champions 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
listen, their record lately...
How mad are you going to get? But no,
since November 30th, they are the 3rd best team percentage-wise in the league. So if they would have played the first 20-odd games that way, we'd be number 3 in the league probably right now.
We're a game away from getting 3rd in the Atlantic. It's crazy.
I know, this is crazy. We're only 10 points out of first place in the division with this many games, although now they have a game in hand, Toronto. But there's a lot of games left. There's a possibility there anyway. I don't think it's going to happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm not insane, but they're still playing for it.
Rick, they're also 10 points out of picking 5th in the draft.
I get it, but that's how crazy, though,
the
Eastern Conference is, how tight that race is.
Well, right now, the Eastern Conference is so tight that if you go on a 3 or 4 game losing streak, you're going to fall out of it. And you're going to fall out of it fast because everybody, like Detroit at one point, who's starting to kind of fall back now. Ottawa's been hit or miss. They're like this. But Montreal's been steadily. Boston should have been like that the past 3 years. I don't even know why they keep winning. Like, I'm
so fucking happy they're finally on the downswing.
Since they lost Bergeron and Krejci, I'm like, how is this team still winning? Like, I don't understand.
It's about the bottom's about.
They have nobody.
Yeah. You know Brian Wild? You know who Brian Wild?
Yep.
You know, right?
Brian Wild.
Okay, so he's recently one of his Call the Wild, and it's something that they're actually doing. He said they need to win 7 of 11 games, each 11 game segment, if they want to make the playoffs. And you know what, though? They're doing it. Even this month, they're 6-4 right now. They win the next game, that's 7-4. Like, they're doing it. How? I don't know, but they're doing it.
And they're not even like, well, the game last night against Tampa wasn't even, I wouldn't really categorize it as like one of their good
I didn't think they played well at all.
They still found a way to win the game.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're doing stuff like that now.
I wouldn't say I don't think they played
Montreal's
well
7-2-1 in their last 10.
No, I'm not saying that they didn't play well at all, but I'm just saying it was an ugly type of game. You know, it wasn't really their best game, and they still found a way to win that game.
Well, that's the thing, right?
But that's like they're winning games like that now.
A young team rebuilding, they're starting to learn how to win games.
Let's just say this: they're at the same point in their rebuild.
Behind, they're never really out of it.
They're the same point in the rebuild as Ottawa is. Think about that for a second.
We've only been rebuilding for 3 years.
It's only the 3rd year of the rebuild, and they're the exact same point as Ottawa.
When Ken Hughes is your GM and he turns Jordan Harris and Justin Barron into Carrier, Laine in a 3rd.
A second.
Oh, it was a second?
Yeah. It was a second, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a...
No, it's a second. They gave him a second with line A for...
Yep.
Oh, I thought it was a third. Wow.
No.
He's doing
No, that was
voodoo
an
up there.
insane
Jesus.
deal. You know, I've got a question for you. Maybe you've heard this. You heard the story with the Predators, who they thought Jordan Harris was somebody else.
Barron,
I mean, right? They thought Barron, that wasn't the guy they thought they were trading for. Do you have any idea who they thought they were going to get?
I'll tell you right now, Rick, that's the first I heard of it.
You didn't hear the story?
I never heard that
Yeah,
story.
they got Barron from it. They didn't... I don't think they were
said that.
trying to trade for Justin Barron.
Trot said
Who are
it's not the guy we thought we were getting. Now, I don't know
Well-
what he meant exactly by that, but I think they thought they were getting a different player. Because really,
I don't know.
trading-
That's the first I heard of that. Now, he could be saying he thought he was a different type of defenseman.
Okay, even that. How did you not? You traded
Because,
for him.
I mean, you traded for him. You
How
must
did
have
you
had
not-
some type of discussion and negotiation. It's not like Hughes the whole time was like, yeah, we're going to trade you Matheson. Matheson. Okay, so you want Barron? And he just went, yeah, okay, here you go.
Don't you think that
This is how you
I
spell
mean, maybe
Matheson.
that happened, I don't know.
Barron.
they called for Carrier and they go, we'll send you Barron, and he said, okay, the papers are already on the way to the NHL. Like that quick.
Justin
right?
Barron's already
You
on the
gotta
plane to
jump on that.
Nashville.
I'm just curious how that all came about, because the story came out that they got a different player than. It seemed like not that they thought he was a different type of player, that they literally they thought they were getting Jack-Eye or something, and they got Barron, like, because they played him with Yossi first pairing, and Yossi wanted to strangle him. I read.
Just reading something here on.
Yeah,
Anyways,
Yoshi does not like Yossi does not like him at all.
No, wants to strangle him.
Justin Barron.
Yeah,
He did something the other night too. He blew a game because I think he was too high up in his zone. He tried to make a play, and I think he left him short on the back end, and he blew a game. People were pissed.
I think I saw a tweet there the other day about send Barron to the moon or something like that.
Yeah,
I feel bad. Barron's a Halifax native. I kind of feel bad for him.
I feel bad for him too.
He has a lot of potential there. It's just a mind thing, I think, for him. Like, he's just not getting it. He's just not getting it. And
one day it'll click for him. One day.
I mean, because he had flashes in Montreal that you're like, okay, this guy's going to be, a good top four defenseman. Like, this guy's going to be whatever. And it's just not. I mean, I think this year his confidence got a bit shot because he was kind of like the seventh defenseman, and and then the move to Nashville. I think it's. I don't know. It's tough to say, but all I got to say is Carrier is that was probably one of the best trades Hughes has made.
I mean, that was exactly what the doctor ordered. Trade.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the guy that they needed desperately.
Settle that defense
It's a
down.
steady, stabilizing right-hand shot defenseman.
And then a lot of people say, oh, well, he just made that trade because he's messed up on the Barron trade for Lehkonen. You weren't getting Lehkonen back. You were not getting him back, so at least you got a first-round pick for him. Plus, you got pretty much Michael Hague because the pick they used.
That's right.
Right. So was it Hague or no?
Hague.
No, that was the pick that they traded up to get.
That's what the pick they traded up.
Hague.
Yeah.
So you traded Arturi Lehkonen.
Right.
For
that's what it was.
Yeah.
The pick they used.
Alex Carrier and Michael Hague.
Basically.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I don't think he lost that. I don't. That's not bad.
I don't really think he's lost a trade. Maybe
I don't think so.
I was going to say the Tyler Toffoli trade, but look at Heineman. Before he got injured, he was top. He was top. He's one of the top rookie scorers. Like, he had 10 goals. So
I did a report card video. I gave Heineman an A because I thought the way he's playing. Somebody told me that he's a fourth liner. He's only got 17 points. You're dumb if you give him an A. Really? I said fourth liners can get A's.
He's also a rookie.
I disagree because, I mean, Heineman's still 8th in scoring. He has 10 goals. He has 4 less goals than Celebrini and Michkov.
I know. So that deserves an A.
Playing really damn good.
Plus, the way he was playing, I mean, it's not just the guy that's scoring. He played an all-around pretty good game.
he killed penalty, and I mean he was only playing 11 minutes a game compared to Celebrini's 19, Mishkov 16.
Right.
Yet, now point wise, he's not there because he only has.
He's a fourth liner too, though.
He's a fourth liner, and he only has 17 points, but 10 goals, 7 assists. But I mean, 10 goals, and it's not like his goals were cheap goals. He was wiring.
He's got a hell of a wrist shot.
Yeah,
he got a shot to him. So really, Heineman is your new Lehkonen, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Maybe I think he might be a little bit just in raw talent wise. I think he might be a little bit better than what Lehkonen was. But yeah, I agree.
Oh,
I think he's a better shooter. I think he's a better shooter and better offensively than what Lehkonen was.
But I mean, look what Lehkonen's doing in Colorado. I mean, he's the first.
But then again, he's in Colorado. He was also He's also playing with better players, and he's getting more minutes. And
but he's able to do it though. He's producing.
His career year there, he really had a lot to do with a lot of injuries. So. I'm not taking away from Lehkonen. I love Lehkonen. I think he's a great hockey player. But he would not be as productive in Montreal.
No, he wasn't going to do. No, what he's doing in Colorado, he wasn't doing that here.
He wouldn't do that in Montreal because he'd still be a third, fourth.
Well, that's what I mean. He wasn't going to do that here. Yeah. That wasn't going to happen for him here. So yeah, it was a good return, I think. Still. All right, let's quickly, or we can forget about last week's games. Do you want to talk about them at all? Was there anything?
They won 2 and lost 1.
Yeah, we want to forget about 2-1 loss. That's for sure. Now we can just sort of just say that they did win 3 games because we had 4 games and from Wednesday, so it's 4 games. And yeah, I don't know, nothing except a bad game against Toronto. They won 3 against 3 good teams, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I love the bounce back that Sunday. Like that was a really, really good way to respond after that game. And it's like I said when that game was over, I'm like, just flush this one down the toilet on to the next game, and that's what they did.
Character players, that's what they went for. They wanted character guys. That's what a character team does. They're able to respond like that.
Bergevin wanted character guys too.
Yeah, but he wanted character plumbers.
I mean, all he could get was character plumbers because he wouldn't trade his first overall picks.
Right. So he didn't know how to do it. These guys know what they're doing. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Okay, let's move on to Monty versus Dobes. As a guy that does a lot of live streams for the games, I get lately a lot of people, they want to see Dobes only. Monty is too underrated. I don't know what it is. He's very underrated. I like Monty a lot. He's proving that he's a pretty good goalie, and I'm not saying he's Carey Price because he's not. But I find too many people want to rush Dobes in to the starter's role, and I don't see why. I wouldn't do that.
I think it's just because since Dobes got called up from the AHL, he's actually statistically better than what the loss to Chicago. He looked terrible in the game against Toronto. The problem with
I disagree with you there. I don't think he looked terrible. I don't think all those goals were his fault, personally. I think
but at least 3 of them were.
I say 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, but I mean, Monty's known for having that game where he can't stop a beach ball.
He'll have that game, yes.
He'll have that game, and that's fine. I'm not.
But every goalie will have that game. It's just maybe Monty has it a little more often than some goalies, but
I personally don't think there's a goaltender controversy in Montreal. I don't think Dobes is going to Monty's starting against Detroit, so that's already been confirmed. So he's a starter, and I'm okay with that. However, I will say, and I'm actually in the process of doing an article about it, Dobes is going to start overtaking Monty in games as early as next season.
If he keeps it up, you think that he's going to keep playing like this all the way?
Well, here's the thing. So you look at a backup goal and he's 5-0, and you're like, oh, he's 5-0. But he's not 5-0 against Chicago and Anaheim.
No,
and I'm glad you bring this up because I was going to talk about this too. I mean, he's 5-0 against some of the best teams.
He's 5-0 against Chicago and Tampa Bay. Did he play against
Florida?
Not Chicago, Florida, Colorado, Dallas, the Rangers. and
Who did he just
I
play?
won it. Was it Detroit?
Yeah,
No, did he
did
play
we have a
Dallas twice?
back-to-back? No, he
he
wasn't.
didn't.
Was he up? No, Monty played those back.
Monty played both games against
Yeah,
Detroit.
against Detroit.
I forget the other game. It was one of the top teams in the league anyway.
Did he play against
And
Vegas?
4 of them were on the road.
Vegas. That's who it was.
That's it. Yes,
It was
Vegas.
Vegas.
And 4
Yeah.
of them were on the road.
And 4 of them were on the road. His first home game was the Rangers game. And really, the Rangers was his worst game of the season until overtime when he was amazing. Made those 2 amazing saves in overtime.
Yeah.
But then again, so I can see why the people were like, because Monty had a bad game in Chicago. He had a bad game against Toronto. Since Dobes has been called up, Monty, until last night, only had 1 game where he allowed 3 goals or less, right? Less than 3 goals. Whereas Dobes, until the Rangers, never had a game where he had more than 2 goals against. So people, I can see the fans going, hey, wait a minute here. And the reason and the fact that he was doing it against top teams. He wasn't doing it against scrub teams. So I do see a lot of issues in Dobes' game. His rebound control is not where I think it should be. I do think this isn't going to be a sustained thing.
Right. Okay, I'm glad you said that.
Right. I don't think he's going to go 14-0.
He can't sustain this. He can't.
I mean, I didn't think Montreal would be 13-3-1 either.
No, okay. Listen,
games. So
he can sustain a plus 900 save percentage, but I don't think where it's at. I don't think he can. It's going to change a little bit.
So he allowed what? What was the Rangers game? 4-3.
It was 5-4.
5-4. So he allowed 4 goals on 26 shots or something like that, or 25 shots.
It was definitely his worst game.
And his save percentage. His save percentage dropped to 940. So I mean,
no, I know, but still, if okay, Monty plays a lot of games, so he's going to have some bad games. Thinking that Dobes won't happen to him.
Dobes isn't going to have a 930, 940 save percentage by the end of the year.
It's going to drop at some point.
If it does, I'll be surprised. Now, going forward, I can see Dobes being a career 915, 920 save percentage type goaltender.
He's impressive.
I think he's got a lot of the skills there already. I think
the goalie controversy
there.
Yeah, the goalie controversy is going to be Dobes and Fowler. That's where you're going to have your Halleck
I agree
Price.
with that.
That's where you're going to have your Halleck Price decisions when Price first came into the league. I personally think it's going to be Fowler going forward. I think he's going to be the better goalie, but you're going to have a tandem, and if you can lock them up,
imagine
you're going to have a tandem where it doesn't matter which goalie you put in net, so you can feel confident enough that you're going to win.
Because I do think Dobes is showing that he's going to be here for a while. They may have found their guy to back up, to be there with Fowler. Once Monty's contract is done, he's going to.
But here's the thing, though, Rick. If you're Dobes and you know you're that good, are you going to be okay sitting there being the backup to another guy? That's the thing.
That's part of the character. I don't know.
But if they go back to the way the things were in the 80s and 90s, where the backup goalie played 30 games a year, right, and not.
Yeah, and Fowler's going to be a guy that's got to get his 55, 60 games.
But if you can have one guy play 50 and one guy play 30, or like when Patrick Waugh played, Brian Hayward played 40 games. They almost went 50-50 the entire time.
Yeah, Hayward was a really good backup.
Right? So, I mean, I know, Matt, we're talking about stuff that you weren't born for yet, but
fucking old guys over there. But no, I agree, Treg. And honestly, I think like a 50-30 split like that, I think would be perfect. But yeah, it's would Dobes want to do that? I mean, if he does, that'd be incredible.
Years. I could see him wanting to do that for 2-3 years. You could have a Fowler Dobes for a few years.
Fowler's not in the NHL until 2027. So let's not maybe 26, 27 season. Yeah. He might get into the He's going to play at least a year in the AHL, and I'm okay with that.
You're right. Yeah.
I'd rather that, right? I'd rather that.
That's what I think. It's just when does he leave college? And he's already said he might stay 4 years in college. I read an interview with him. He said he'd rather be overcooked than undercooked.
What more does he have to prove?
I don't know. I'm just saying what
that's the thing.
I mean, he really doesn't. And it's someone who's, I've watched him play in person a million times because BC's 30 minutes from my apartment. I mean, he looks like he's obviously he can't step in the NHL right now. He's still very young, but I mean, in terms of the poise, in terms of like a lot of the little things, his reaction time, his IQ, just his goaltending IQ, really, really good. Like super advanced for a goalie his age right now in college. Like it's incredible.
I gotta ask you a question, Matt. Why wasn't he on the USA junior team?
I think he aged out.
He aged out. That's what he was just missed by very little.
Yeah, I think it was only by like a month, maybe.
Or two. I heard, a month or two.
It doesn't matter. Trey Augustine's not as good as him. He beat Trey Augustine twice. Shut him out, actually, one of those games. So
no, I was just curious because I kept wondering how is Fowler not on this? I didn't think about him aging out.
Yeah, no, he aged out. Otherwise, he would have been the starter. I don't think Trey Augustine would have sniffed a game.
Because he was on last year's American team, was he not, Fowler? He was the backup to Augustine, was he not? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. He was.
So, I mean, I think the future is Fowler's, but so Primo's an RFA at the end of this season. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. If they do, it'll
RFA
be
though. What are they going to do? Let him?
If they don't re-sign him, he becomes a UFA.
What do you mean? Montreal, if they don't qualify him, you mean?
If they don't qualify him and say they're not going to sign him, he becomes
but if they qualify him, then okay.
Yeah.
Just check.
If they qualify him, they can't come to an agreement. There's something else that I think they have till December or something to come up with an agreement.
Right. Then, if he doesn't accept the then he can walk.
Yeah.
But he's doing. Do you think he's just an AHL goalie? Because look at his numbers down there. I think so too.
I've always said he was just an AHL goalie.
Look at his numbers down there. He's really good down there.
He's playing really well.
Yeah.
But they also have a very good team in front of them. So.
Yeah, okay, but I mean.
Right. But again, obviously he just wasn't cutting it at the NHL level.
Yeah, he's an AHL.
He's not cutting it.
It's nothing against him. I think he's a good kid, but I just didn't think he had it. And again, I think that's just another move at the time that Kent Hughes made it and made that decision when he did. I mean, look at what it's done with the.
I question them not putting him on waivers last year with the 3 goalie thing, but he kind of played well last year. He played okay. Year. He played well enough to deserve the backup job in Montreal.
Right. Yeah.
But this year he was god awful. God awful. He was. Like his glove was bad. His stick side was bad.
I mean, he couldn't stop the planet.
He couldn't stop anything. Like, and
when was the last time you saw numbers like that? Like he had in the 80s.
Like, Rick, you were saying they're like 1980s. Like
you're looking at the pitch. You're looking at Dennis Huron and Michel Dion with the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 1980s.
Yeah,
that's
right.
You're looking at Kenny. You're looking at Kenny Reggett's stats from the from the Philadelphia Toronto days in the 80s.
Yeah.
So I mean, an 838 save percentage, like
836, even worse, but not much, but still worse.
A 4-something.
That's not even good enough to play on most D1
470 goals,
let alone in the NHL.
Even in the games he won, he didn't look good. Like it's just Montreal outscored the other team, and it's really a shame because I think Kent Hughes really felt he could get someone for him. I think he really felt. I think there was a deal in place last year for him, but they decided to go with Allen, trade Allen to the Devils. I think it was a better deal, but I don't think it was I don't think the deal for Primo was anything that's going to knock anyone's socks off. But
they should have traded him maybe in the off season when they maybe could have.
Maybe, but then again, at that time, they didn't know Dobes was going to be as well as he was going to be. They wanted to give Dobes his year. And I'm perfectly okay.
Was completely and utterly shit himself.
Right. Because Primo had a 903 save percentage.
Yeah, I know. He was okay last year. He was.
Oh, yeah,
he was okay.
He proved enough to warrant at least, hey, let's give him.
He's the backup goalie. And at that time, I was saying, okay, I see why Kent Hughes did not want to lose him to waivers. But then this year, I'm like, oh my God, put the guy in waivers. Like, no one's taking him.
Yeah. Well, they did.
Right?
They did, and nobody took him.
And nobody took him.
Was it Cam in the group chat that said somebody might take a flyer on him? And
no, he said somebody will take him.
Like an 838 save percentage. You're not.
I mean, his save percentage is on par with any of the Philadelphia Flyers goalies. So, I mean, it's kind of right there. Like Philadelphia, I think as a team has like an 880 something save percentage. So he could have went there.
Montreal does too, but that's because of Primo. If Primo's numbers weren't there, with Dobes and Monty, our save percentage would be much higher.
Well, yeah, like Monty's 906 or something like that. He's just over 9, and
yeah, 901.
Of course, you got Dobes, who's
Dobes, and who knows,
940.
With a full season, he might have 15 games under his belt now, at least.
I think he'll end up this season with about 15 games. He'll end, and which will still qualify him to be a rookie next year. So,
oh yeah, 10 out of the next 30. Yeah, he's got to get that. I think
he'll get at least 10 games in.
I think Monty's going to get 2 or 3 out of every 4, depending on.
Yeah,
but he's going to get 2 or 3 out of every 4.
But that could change too if Dobes keeps winning.
Like somebody, I think it was on the broadcast yesterday. The guy was saying until Monty shows he's not like he falls off. If Monty falls off, and then Dobes will get that shot without a doubt. And he looks like he's a guy that probably, if he gets the shot, he's going to make
those 2 saves he made against the Rangers in overtime. I was like he made those saves, and I said, okay, like he's for real. Like he's not going back to the AHL. Like those were like star goalie level clutch saves. You know what I mean? Like those are great saves.
They were Carey Price type saves that you see Carey Price making a regular.
Yeah, he's calm and cool like Price.
Mm-hmm. You got to look at Monty too, though, and Monty had a great comeback game last night. So I mean,
I like Monty a lot. I think
he was solid,
underrated.
Right?
Oh yeah,
but he was solid in that third period. He made some big saves in that third period.
David Savard put the puck up his ass for the last 10 seconds.
I don't know how that whistle wasn't blown. I have no idea why the
That's why he had a therapy day today. They had to go up there and fish it out.
Really? Because I know in my day that'd been blown right away.
That would have been blown. I mean, mind you, there wasn't enough time on the clock. I mean,
it's probably
Tampa might have had a chance to get a shot off, but
I was saying, I was watching, going, just sit on it, get that time, get rid of it.
If that was Tampa doing that to Montreal, I'd be savage.
True, but it's allowed.
It was my team, so I'm okay with it.
Now they let them hold it against the board forever. Technically,
as long as you can see the puck and the other team's trying to get the puck away from you,
in my day,
sitting on the puck like he did, like practically laying on the puck and the referee not blowing the whistle, to me, that's
okay.
I mean,
but in my day, they used to do that against the boards like that to get the whistle.
Yeah.
Now it's like you could be 20 seconds and there's still.
I personally think the ref just looked at the clock and was like, "I'm just letting this run." I'm not.
I think so too. At that point,
get it out, boys.
Yeah, and they did for the last 3 seconds.
I am not putting my hand up there to dislodge it.
Yeah. Papa Savard did his job. So
he did. I think he's at third pairing D, that's perfect for Savard.
Yeah. And I think it shows, like you were saying about Jack-Eye and what he's saying about him. Jack-Eye's game's improved immensely.
Yeah.
Throughout this year.
He's been fantastic.
He's been a great two-way. He's been a great two-way forward. I was glad to see him throw
a lot more discipline too. He's not taking a lot of stupid penalties. Like he's staying out of the box.
I got to sit there and say this. I want to see him go up against Olivier because I want to see who the heavyweight champion is. Right now, I give the edge to Olivier. But
let me ask you this though about Jack-Eye, the Leafs game, when Reeves kind of wanted to go,
it wasn't the time.
And he waved him off. Now, a lot of fans are actually blaming Jack-Eye for the loss because they think it turned there.
I don't think it did at all.
I don't think so either. I don't get it.
I don't think and when they said he pointed to I think he was pointing to the time. He wasn't pointing because there's only like less than a minute left in the period.
And it's like,
it wasn't the score.
It was 3-0.
And there was no, and then when Jack-Eye laid him out, Reeves didn't want anything to do with it.
That was a nice hit.
And that's
got him so good.
Right? And so, before the game, he was asked, Reeves, said, I haven't had a fight in a while. I really want one.
Yeah, well, Reeves hasn't fought all season. So, I mean, and then Jack-Eye fought Remp, and Remp's the worst fighter I've ever seen in my life. For such a big guy, the only reason he's on the team is to fight, and he's terrible at it.
But give him credit. I thought Jack-Eye knocked him out, and he came back. Do you see the fight? He got him.
Yeah, they were like 2 or 3 punches in a row. Jack-Eye got him right in the button.
That was a good tilt. I will say this: it was. I mean, it was Jack I won by unanimous decision.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was a good tilt. Like Ramp held in there, but Ramp's just terrible. He's terrible at fighting. Like he just throws his big
He's a
arms
terrible
around.
hockey player too. Like he
He's
legitimately
useless.
sucks.
I don't even understand why he's in. And the way the NHL is now, why is he even there?
Why is he there? You're wasting a roster spot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, he doesn't
that's
fight
kind
enough.
of the same thing with Reeves. Reeves doesn't fight anymore. What the fuck is he good for?
He
they don't
blows games for them.
They don't. He doesn't play very often either, so it doesn't really.
And when he does, he often blows games for them.
He has more press interviews than he does minutes on the ice. He spends more time in front of the camera than he does in minutes.
I bet Jack Eye like ruined his life last season when he picked him up by the scruff of his neck and threw him in the net.
He did.
Downhill ever since.
And when the photographer caught that, where Reeves was going, no, because there's a still of him doing that, no, and that's to me ruined it for Reeves.
Reeves was the worst signing Toronto ever made.
Oh God,
waste of money. It was a waste of money.
$4 million. Can you believe that? Isn't that what he's making? Like, no, it's $4 million over 4 years or something. But
it's
still,
$3.5. It's $3.5 million a year for.
Is he getting that much?
I think.
Yeah,
oh my God, that's way too much money.
I think he's getting $3.5 million.
But listen, it's the Leafs, so it's their money. Let them waste it.
$4 million over 3 years.
So I was right. $4 million over the life of the contract. Still too much for him.
It's a 3-year, $4.05 million contract with a cap hit of 1.35. So it's $4 million over 3 years.
Yeah. That's all he's not even worth that, if you ask me. But that's me.
Whatever.
I'm going to talk about tilts though for a second. Trey, what do you think of Josh Anderson versus Jacob Trouba?
He knocked him out of New York. That's what happened.
Yeah,
that was another great fight though, and I think
that was
won that by ultra unanimous decision.
I mean,
what a fight!
He dummied Trouba, but Trouba needed that. Trouba, and props to Trouba. Trouba lays out the big hits, but he'll drop the gloves when the bell. But Josh Anderson and that's what I'm going to talk a little bit of Josh Anderson. He changed his entire game this season, and he's 10 times the player that he's ever been.
Yeah.
He took on Josh
Anderson. He took on that third line, 200-foot player role, and he's thriving. Yeah. And I mean thriving.
No, he really is. I agree. I agree with you tenfold there. Goalie too. Like ever since Goalie went back to his old game last season, he's been. I think he's not worth the $6.5 million, but he's been good.
Gally's healthy. I think that's the big thing with Goalie. He's healthy. He's fully healthy. And with Josh Anderson, I think he just realized, hey, I'm not a top 6, 20, 25 goal scorer. I mean, I thought Anderson could be a 30 goal scorer, but it's just not happening.
No.
So he changed his entire game. He's killing penalties. He's playing well defensively. He's still attacking the rush. He's still making big plays.
Laying the body out.
Fights. He's laying the body. Guys. He's getting into fights and when he needs to. And I mean, I don't think he's worth the $4.5 million, but with the way $5 million, with the way the salary cap's going, it's not going to matter. $5.5 million is nothing now.
No.
Right. Cause I mean, it's going to go up to $98 million next year. So,
yeah.
Right. So, I mean, 5.5 is nothing. So and also you got to look at it. I look at it in terms of lines. So a top line player is worth $8 million or more. You know what I mean?
Second line player, top line is like 7.8 and lower. Bargain.
Well, I'm just saying, top line players $8 million and higher. The lowest you're going to get is $8 million. Thanks, Sidney Crosby. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And then you have your second line guys you're looking at between 6 and 8. You know, maybe 5 on a bargain. Your third line guys are your 5 to 6 million guys, or 4 to 6 million, and your bottom guys are 3 million and under, right? So if you can maintain your salary cap like that, so really Anderson fits into that.
It's true.
Mold.
No, he does. Again, especially with the contracts for the big guys right now, and I mean Laine with only 2 years left on the 8.7 or whatever. Like they're in a
think they should re-sign
spot cap wise.
Oh, they're going to re-sign Laine.
I honestly believe they should re-sign Laine. Like next year, they should start negotiating and extend him.
July 1st. July 1st, they
You know,
start negotiating with them.
Their next year is their if they even come close to the playoffs this year or make the playoffs this year, next year is the year. I mean, you have all these big free agents. There's talk about them going after. I think they should go after Rantanen. Be honest with you, hands down, they should go after him in free agency. Whether he's going to be available or they're going to get him is a different story. But I mean, there's rumors Nikolai Ehlers wants to play with Line A again, so he may come over to Montreal. Although I don't think they really need Ehlers.
Now, especially with Demidov coming over, like,
yeah, I mean, he again. Now you're going to have, so you have your top line of Slafkovsky, Suzuki, and Cole Caulfield. Then you're going to have a line of Line A, Demidov. We'll say Demidov reaches the second line by the end of the season. You have a Line A, Demidov, and Doc. Then you got the third line of Newhook. Say you have Ehlers or friggin' Rantanen. I mean,
Rantanen wouldn't be that down that low.
Anderson. But I'm just saying, like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
now you have
Newhook, and I mean that's crazy. And the balance too.
Newhook can play center. Then you have Ehlers and Anderson, and then on your fourth line, or Ehlers and Gallagher, and then on your fourth line you have Anderson and Beck or whoever you're going to put at center there, and
our lineup, man.
Whoever, like
probably Heineman. Heineman or
Heineman. Yeah, Heineman. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Heineman.
Like I'd go Heineman.
There you have it. So, and then your defense is, Hudson, Matheson, Jack-Eye, maybe Matt Mayu. Maybe Mayu's up there next year, and Carrier and Goalie.
Yeah,
well, actually, is Carrier a free agent?
No, they got him 3 more years at 3.
Yeah, okay.
He's making 3.5 right now, which honestly, I'm okay with that for a second pair defenseman. I don't think that's bad value at all.
And then you have Matheson. Then you have Matheson in his free agent year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have Matheson, Hudson. You have Matheson, Carey, Goalie, and Jack-Eye and Mayu on your with Struble or someone as your 7th defenseman.
Yeah, probably Struble.
And then you have Dobes and Monty. Monty's in his last year of his contract next year. Perfect timing for Fowler to come up to the AHL if he decides to leave.
Well, I think that's why they gave Monty that 3-year deal too. Because I mean, when he signed it, I went, that could not be more perfect because that lines up.
It just lines up, but it only lines up if Fowler decides to go into the AHL next year. Right.
Which I mean, he will. I can't see him. I think
up to him really.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, not really. It's up to the team.
Well, as an NCAA, it's up to he can play his 4 years in the team.
No, okay. If you mean it that way, okay, yeah.
Right. Like if he really wants to
decision, like, hey, I want to go to the NHL, and then the Habs, which I mean, again, no brainer. I mean, they'll bring him,
give him the contract,
yeah.
So.
All right, this was a perfect segue. We're talking about Anderson and is changing his game. And why do I say that? Because we'll talk about Coach Marty. Marty, I believe, is the one that started working on this with Anderson last season. Because I was reading
Jack-Eye as well.
And in the off
beginning
season
of this year.
And to change the role and to get him to what he's doing this season. Let's talk about Coach Marty a bit. Because I think there was a lot of people calling for him to be fired at the beginning of the season, if you remember. The reason the Habs are where they are right now, in my opinion, is largely due to the coaching and the attitude and just everything about Coach Marty St. Louis. I don't know where I'm going with this. Matt, why did you bring up this topic anyway? Because you brought it up. Because we've talked about Marty recently.
I did see a tweet the other day by the person next to me about how you and I talked about, Habs make the playoffs or get close. Like St. Louis has got to be at least talked about in the Jack Adams race.
Oh, okay.
It went along the lines of what you and I talked about the other day. And, Treg, I agree with you there because, the turnaround. And again, I know obviously a lot of it is, the trades that Ken Hughes has made, but the fact that Marty's been able to coach this team up and, they finally got a hold of his system. And again, I think it's just his attitude and the way that he teaches. I mean, all the guys love him. Like it's incredible. And even seeing guys like Josh Anderson turned their game around and perform better. And now Kirby Dach we're seeing is finally, I think his knee's feeling mighty comfortable now. Doc's been amazing, the past couple weeks of games, and even Slavkovsky now starting to turn it around again. So, yeah, and I think St. Louis got a lot to do with that, and even the special teams improvement, especially on the power play.
Yeah, and he took over the power play this season. So,
I never understood the call from Marty's head because coming into the season, everyone expected Montreal. Montreal was expected to be a bottom 5 team. Everyone, they're still in the rebuild. All the predictors were like Montreal will be in the bottom 5. Blah 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 blah. Ken Hughes was saying we want to be in the mix. All the tank guys were saying, "Oh, in the mix." They're nowhere near the mix. I think a lot of it had to do with Doc had the same issue Cole Caulfield had last year. He was getting over a serious injury, and it took time. It took time, and he struggled mightily.
But I think that was to be expected, and I said that at the beginning of the year. With an injury like that,
Slavkovsky's been on and off, and I think Slavkovsky's been dealing with an injury. Cole was on fire from the start. Suzuki had a bit of a slow start, but then consistently raised his game. The defense was all over the place when the season started. People were playing on the wrong side.
A lot of that had to do with Justin Barron too.
Correct. That's what I mean. Like they had.
Well, it was the system as well, right?
He was teaching them all a new system, and I think some players just weren't getting it. Right?
Yeah.
Barron, Struble. I mean, Struble's basically now sitting in the press box doing nothing like every game. So
I think it was again painfully obvious with Justin Barron. And again,
it was painfully
once
obvious.
Ken Hughes made that trade and brought in, a veteran, because I'll call Carrier a veteran. He's 28.
Of course, he's a veteran
that knows what he's doing. It's been amazing.
Not
the Keystone Cops on defense anymore, really.
And then Marty kept saying, patience. They'll learn the system. Once they learn the system, and he stuck with it. He didn't panic. He didn't change everything because, oh, no, we're losing games. I better change everything. I better come up with a new, you know what I mean? He stuck with it. Slavkovsky was struggling a bit. Okay, I'll move the lines around a little bit just to see. Laine came back from his injury. All these things started coming together. And then once the lines – now – first of all, this is the first season Montreal in how long where they're pretty much healthy.
Yes.
Knock on wood. They've been pretty much like they're going to have like 10 or 11 people they're going to play every game so far, right?
Yep.
Knock on something.
I did.
So that doesn't. So if you go back to last year and the year before, if they had everyone healthy, they're not finishing bottom 5.
Right.
We're probably finishing maybe bottom 10, maybe bottom 50. You know what I mean?
Like if Doc didn't get hurt, I think they probably would have been around like the 10th spot.
10. Drafting 10 and 12.
10
maybe.
or 12, yeah.
And I said that all season, and everyone, look, they finished. Well, yeah, because everyone was injured. You know what I mean? Like injuries happen, and they don't have the depth right now in a rebuild to fill that in. But now, if a player gets injured on the first line, they have a player to put up on that first line. Keep that first line strong. Now they have a balanced 3 lines. They have 2 scoring lines. With Laine, Newhook, and Doc, especially Doc now coming in full circle. Laine healthy and scoring from everywhere. Newhook's game's been better.
Yeah.
His 200-foot game's been a lot better too. Like he's been able to use his speed a lot more. You've been able to see that.
Now, to me, Newhook's been the biggest disappointment of the season. That's my opinion. He's been very underwhelming to me, but again, since Christmas or since January, since Doc brought his game up, Newhook's game's been coming up. And that third line now, if Dvorak wasn't on it, it'd be even better. But that third line of Dvorak,
I think Dvorak's probably the next odd man out.
Like why they don't move Evans up there and switch Evans to Dvorak, I don't know, but whatever. It's working. They're winning. But that line of Dvorak, Anderson, and Goalie, that's been a perfect third line, except, again, Dvorak. But, it's been working. The fourth line's been amazing. Heineman, Evans, and Armia, simply fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like I would say it's one of the best fourth lines in the league. Yeah. Right?
It is. It's like the penalty kill. Like, I think Evans and Armia on the penalty kill have been two of the best penalty killers in the league so far. I mean, they've been fantastic.
No doubt. Armia's going to fetch something. Don't get me wrong, he's not going to get a first overall pick, but people are going to be calling about Armia.
Penalty kill, yeah. He's a premier penalty killer. He's an elite penalty killer. That's one thing of his game that didn't go.
I thought Armia had a great season last year. He came back and scored those 17 goals or what, you know.
The second half when he came back.
Second half, he really came back and played well. And, you know, he's your prototypical bottom six guy who's not going to hurt you defensively and could put the puck in the net for you off it. And that's exactly what you need on the bottom six. So right now, this year, Marty has his team balanced. He has his defense balanced. Carrier was a big, huge help for that because he could move Goalie over onto his proper side. Now everyone's kind of being where they're trying to be. Matheson and Hudson, it's working. I'm not a big fan of it, but it's working. So I'm not gonna.
I agree with you, Dad. I'd rather have a little bit more defensively responsible guy with Hudson. But yeah, I mean, it's for
correct.
Right now,
but Matheson defensively has been better this year, though.
Matheson's Petrie 2.0. Matheson and Petrie are the same player.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, they're going to look like
both literally on the ice, and they do kind of look alike.
Yeah, and Matheson's a better skater, though. But yeah,
they're going to look like Ray Bourque one game and Phil Bourque the next game. So I mean, it's and that's fine. Now Matheson's not going to get his 60 points this year like he did last year, and that's okay because Hudson's going to get his 60 points. So again, Marty with Lane Hudson started him on like the second line. You know. Didn't put him straight on that power play one
until he went.
Everyone was
on the first one.
Everyone was crying. Why is he on power play one? You know, but he does this for a reason. You need to shelter a rookie for so long until you know that rookie can handle what you're going to give them. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's like everyone was on the trade Matheson train in the offseason. I was not. I was like, let's wait to see where Hudson is before we. Start getting rid of this guy and putting him there. I'm glad we didn't. Now I'm more open to it. Now I'm like, you know what? If they trade Hudson at this deadline, I'm okay with it.
Matheson, not Hudson. Matheson.
Not Matheson. That's what I meant. Yeah, if they trade Matheson at this deadline.
Rick would have just drove to your house and hit you over the head.
If we trade Matheson at this deadline, I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Because Hudson has proven he can play the minutes. He's going to put up the points, and he's going to do the job that Matheson's in.
Permanently has that QB spot on power play one.
Right, and he has that QB, and everything's done for a reason, and patience. And I think Marty St. Louis is becoming one of the best coaches in the NHL because he's patient. He's not panicking.
Right.
And he knows what the team is.
He's a type of coach, too, that, like, I feel like he's one of the best, like, just teachers too. You know what I mean? Because he takes time with these guys. If someone makes a mistake, he's not gonna grill him. He'll be a little mad, but he'll be like, they'll work on it in practice or whatever. He's not gonna. These guys are gonna make mistakes.
He's
if PK Subban comes to him with a question, he's not going to berate him on the video. Look what you're doing there. Why are you doing that? You're an idiot. Tabernacle. You soft. Right? He's going to sit there and say, okay, this is what you're doing, and this is what you need to be doing. Yeah. The thing with Slafkovsky, when he first came up, I was like, oh, they're ruining Slafkovsky. He wanted him to work on the parts of his game that he wasn't good at. He knew he could score. He knew he could do this. He knew he could do that. You know what? You got to learn how to do this. And you got to learn how to do this. Concentrate on this. It doesn't matter. This season doesn't matter. It doesn't, and that was, I think, his first season. And then the second half, and the first half of the second season, and then the second half, off he went. You know what I mean? He ended up getting his 20 and, 20 and 50. And this, or 20 and 60 or 50?
20 and 30 to get 50.
Yeah, he had 50 points. And this year he's on pace for almost 50 points again.
Yeah, he's pretty much on pace for like last.
I think 47 points.
I saw something today too where he was last year when he started to score to get to 20 goals. He's got one more goal than that in a few less games actually right now. So,
and he scored in back-to-back games here. So I mean,
he's still on pace to hit the 50 or
willing to almost get decapitated to score goals.
Yeah. I mean, but when it comes to St. Louis,
into the net.
If he's not even in the conversation for Jack Adams, then I don't know what to tell you.
I had my report card video. I missed on a couple of players, but on the coach, I did say, like, maybe not this year, but hell, if they make the playoffs,
they almost have to.
He should be a finalist.
Like I said, everybody had them finishing bottom 5.
Right.
It's like Torts last year in Philadelphia. I felt Torts should have got a nod for the Jack Adams last year because Philadelphia was just outside the playoffs.
Yeah.
They played, they were a much better team than they should have been.
Yeah.
And then, also, along that aspect, you got to think Ken Hughes would have to get a nod for GM of the year, too, especially if they make the playoffs.
For sure.
I think he's the best GM in hockey right now.
Well, you can't
or at least top 3. There's really not many guys I would put in front of him right now.
Look at the moves.
Barry Trotz. Put Barry Trotz in front of him. He got Barron for next to nothing. So,
can you believe that though? From Barry Trotz, I would have expected better from him. Maybe he's not a good GM.
It's the potential. I mean, Nashville right now is a bottom 5 team, so they don't really need. He got rid of some salary. Now Nashville's a bottom 5 team, and they shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be. I know. What a surprise! I'm very happy with
it. They got and I like Andrew Burnett, but I don't know what the hell else they do.
I don't know. It's I mean, you get a lot of teams that you thought would be good. Look at Vancouver. You thought Vancouver would be a good playoff team, and they're
and then
no, I see. But with Demko out almost most of the season, I did not think Vancouver would be that.
And team. When your 2-star players hate each other.
Oh, I didn't know about that stuff happening, but I thought with Demko not.
When that started to come out, it was like, all right, this kind of makes sense because you got to think the locker room's probably divided, shit like that. But again, still, I do think Kent Hughes is at the very least probably a top 3, top 4 GM in the league. Now,
picking up this year alone, picking up Line Carrier. Not panicking on moving players.
I mean, the way he signed his contracts too, getting Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slav all under $8 million.
Long terms under $8 million.
I mean, Caden Goalie 6x6. Are you shitting me?
I mean, if I were him, I'd be looking at signing Lane Hudson as soon as this year for a long term deal.
Yeah, when's his ELC over?
He just started this year with his first year, so you got 2 more years.
You got 2 more years, yeah. But as soon as you're able to sign him, he's gonna get signed because the quicker you do, the cheaper he'll be as well. The longer you let him go, he's gonna earn a lot of money. This kid.
Yeah, I have no Marty St. Louis. I think he got to be top 3. Who else you gonna put in there?
Well,
you know what? Craig Berube. I would give Craig Berube a nod because he did change Toronto. He did change. Toronto's a different.
Spencer Carberry in Washington. Look where Washington is. So
Sheldon Keefe.
And then after that, I think you're right.
I'm just kidding.
But after that,
I think who did Alex give Sheldon Keefe a shout when we talked about it the other day, Rick? On the
I think it was earlier in the season, and then he said he turned it around. Said, "Yeah, maybe not."
Look at disgust on Trege's face right now.
But seriously, I think you're right. I think if they make the playoffs, I think he has to be considered.
I don't even know if they have to make the playoffs. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head.
No, but I'm just saying if they're in a playoff position,
for sure.
That's a lot to do with coaching, especially this team right now.
And again, too, going forward, Rick, you and I talk about this a lot, but I mean, guys are going to want to come and play in Montreal to play for Marty, to see the team winning.
They already are.
Like you said, Rick, if you're on this team and you win a championship, I mean, you're a god for life. In
Montreal,
La Belle Province,
you are. If you win a cup here, oh yeah. Especially now, we've been waiting 30 years. Are you kidding? This team, if they win a cup,
2028 NHL Stanley Cup champions. I call it right here.
But how many seasons is that? Because I've also said at a time. I wonder if we're around the same.
It's 3.
You're talking basically maybe the first year that Fowler's here.
So next year, the year after,
second year
25. So 25, 26 is next year. 26, 27 and would be Fowler's. We'll say first year. And then Fowler's second year in 27.
That's what I've called it. So we're the same because I said Fowler's. I don't think his first year, but his second year, I think we could win a cup. I think so.
And I think even more than that, we stay on this trajectory. I don't think it if we finish either make the playoffs this year or just on the outside. I think going forward, I mean, playoffs got to be the goal. You know what I mean?
I think playoffs are the goal this year. I think
It is.
they want to be in the
No,
mix.
without a doubt.
And then next year is when I think playoffs is not a goal, but it's expected, right?
Kind of
And
is
then,
next year.
Right? And then
Yeah.
after that, it's when you start building your team for contention. That's when you start bringing in the veterans that are going to, fill out those roles.
Yeah.
And, and if they do it next year, but then again, if they do it next year, you're like, okay, you're starting this whole contention thing a year. Like, say they do go out and get Rantanen, say they do go out and get, these a couple of the top free agents. Then you're like, oh shit, these guys are serious.
I got to think if they make the playoffs this year in the off season, you might expect something like that where they pick up a big.
And again, I think obviously it's the culture, but when we heard it from Line, like guys want to play for Marty St. Louis.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everyone loves them.
I don't think attracting free agents is going to be a big problem with not only Marty, but GM Hughes, who treats players properly.
Yeah.
It's another reason why players will want to come here.
And I mean, if you ask me, I think they trade Carey Price's contract next year. It's his last year of his contract. I think they move that.
Yeah.
And so not only
he already gave his blessing on that too. He's like, whatever they got to do to have the team.
And what would be cool is if they actually make it to the Stanley Cup Finals and they go up 3-0, and then they just start dressing Carey Price as the backup because then he'd get his ring and all that kind of stuff. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh, that actually
would be pretty sweet. That'd be awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, say that, this is hypothetical dreamland. But say this year they make it to the Stanley Cup Finals and for some reason just blowing out the other team. I'd be like, Gary, get your gear on. You're going to sit on the bench for the
to get on there.
If they're up 4-1, just throw them in the net for the final.
I was going to say, right? They're in the clinching game. They're up like 5-0 with a minute left.
Gary, you're in.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, again, dreamland. But
speaking of playoffs, if we make the playoffs, more than likely we're playing Toronto first round.
I will say this: if we make the playoffs, I'd be shocked if Montreal get out of the first round.
If Montreal gets,
if they get out of the first round, I'd be.
If they're playing Toronto,
if they're playing anyone, I think Toronto's a different team this year. Like a lot of people,
I'm worried about that though. I agree
Toronto's
with you
a different team.
Berube, he's made that team.
Berube's made that team a better team, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Montreal could beat. I think anyone can beat Toronto in the first round. But
really, anybody can beat anybody on any given night.
Anybody can beat any. I mean, like I say, Montreal's literally just 10 points behind.
Yeah,
first place.
We could end up. I mean, we're only a point out of third. Like we could. This is real scenario. We end up.
We could be a seeded team. Like that, at least that, right? It's a possibility we could be the third place team and not the wild card.
But if they're a seeded team, now you're looking at, wait a minute here. We're a rebuilding team. We just finished third in the division. Like, where is this team next year?
Where is this team start getting the pitchforks out to
they're
go to the because they've been doing this for.
Then they're going to
Treg, I swear to God, probably since I was in 5th grade.
And you know what else?
In like 2010,
it'd be the quickest rebuild in the history of the league if they make the playoffs and they make that push, and next year they're that good. That's the quickest rebuild. 5 years.
Yeah, it's only
been the quickest.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. Vegas did it in a couple years, but they didn't rebuild either. So
yeah, I'm talking about a rebuild.
Well, when no one really knew what to do with the protection list, and Kelly McCrimmon went, sweet.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. I think. I mean, again, we're talking out our asses here, but I mean, these are all possibilities. Sure. We're actually not talking out of our ass because these are all possibilities.
They're still
the way Montreal's been playing, and they're 1 point behind third place. These are, this is real. This is real.
Yeah,
this could happen. Like they're not going to take first. Let's be realistic on that.
No,
but this could happen. Like you take the Toronto game. Say they won that game. Say they beat Chicago. They're already in third place. They're
already in third place. That's right.
They have 56 points.
It's that tight, and that's the crazy. It's so tight that the possibility of them making it is real.
So if they would have won games they should have won, right? They would have been. They literally would be 3 points out of second.
Yep.
But that's the other thing too. Like, yeah, they had those 2 losses, but then they rattled off 3-4 wins in a row. Like, if you do that, and you're still going to be in really good shape.
That's all you need. You play 3 games a week, you win 2 of them, or 4 games a week, you win 3 of them. You're making the playoffs.
Plus, there's 35 games or something left. Like, there's a lot of games left. It's not like they're in the last 15 games and they're going to try to leapfrog these teams. That's hard. With 35 games and it's tight like that, like you said, if you don't lose a few in a row, you can get in there.
Yeah, I mean, no, like Treg said, I think he put it perfectly. Like, every 3-game week, you win 2 of those. 4-game week, you win 3 of those. I mean, you're in a good spot.
You're in. If they do
you
that,
almost got to look at it like a series in baseball. You just got to win 2 of the 3 games. That's it. Win this. All you got to do is win the series. So win the week. You got to win the week. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, the Yankees didn't do that, did they, Treg?
They went to the World Series, didn't they?
Yeah, and then they got fucking smoked, dude.
Well, they got smoked by the best team in the league.
True, but they still got smoked.
I mean, MLB
lost Juan Soto to the Mets.
You know what? The Yankees are going to be a better team this year without Juan Soto.
Maybe.
They improved their bullpen. They pulled their starting pitching. Their defense they still got to work on their infield, but we'll see.
Aaron Judge got to work on the outfield too a little bit.
All right, let's move on instead of baseball. No, because
listen, it'll be all right. The Red Sox are going to be a little bit better. We might surprise them. I doubt it, but
quickly.
I think Bregman's going to come in to play second base. It sounds like that's more like
I can't take part.
I
don't follow baseball. Okay, let's go over the Habs 3 stars of the week. All right. Did you do any of that, Treg? You
3 stars of the week? I did not, but I can tell you who I think the 3 stars of the week are.
Okay, cool.
And
okay.
My 3 stars.
We'll lead off with you. Go ahead. Who's your 3 stars?
So my 3rd star of the week is going to be Jacob Dobes.
So
that's my 3rd star of the week. My 2nd star of the week is Juraj Slafkovsky. My 1st star of the week is Lane Hudson. He's on a streak, man. He's on a heater. He's on a heater.
I last
you got to give it to him.
I have those same, little bit different order, but I have those 3 guys.
No, I have 2 of them. I got Line 2nd and Slav 1st. The reason I thought Hudson still awesome. It's just that these guys stood out more for me in the week than he did. He was still steady and all that, but the week before, the 2 weeks, because we were off for 2 weeks, he was like outstanding. Against Vancouver, Hudson was like, that was his best game, I think, ever so far. But I don't know.
Other game
for
too?
Me, I didn't have him. I had him as an honorable mention.
What was the other? I think, was it one of the overtime games? It wasn't Vancouver. There was another game we played after that. He was tremendous into. I forget who we played though.
Yeah, he's had a couple of, but this week I just thought these guys stood out more for me. But yeah, what order did you have? Go ahead. Go ahead, Treg.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say I got Hudson on there just because he's on such a heater and doing the shit that he's doing. Slafkovsky could easily be in the 1st star too because I think he's been playing great. I don't have Line on there because he scores his 1 goal. You know what I mean? Like,
but he's getting assists though.
He did have the 2 assist game. He had to assist the other game. Like he is playing better. But
17 points in 19 games. I mean, that's Patrick Laine though, right? I mean,
I like the young guys. Laine's going to do that anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
if you look at even with the games he missed an injury in Columbus, he was still basically a point a game guy.
He's right there. He's always
a couple points, so he's doing what he's going to do.
He's just over, just under a point a game, basically. That guy.
I have Kirby Dach as an honorable mention too. I just want to point that out because again, I think he's ever since I think he really got comfortable on that knee.
Yeah, Doc's been really good.
He's been fantastic.
Doc would be my
really been driving that second line too, I think.
Yeah, and that second line, since Doc's been better, is doing what it's supposed to do: score some goals. Yeah. It was sorely needed. That was a big problem for Montreal, and line 2 is starting to score their share of goals, which is nice. All right. Anybody want to do prediction of who's going to win or lose? The got Detroit, in Detroit, at home to New Jersey, at home to Winnipeg. Just who I'll give mine first. I'm going to win in Detroit, win against Jersey, loss against Winnipeg.
I'm the same way. I think it's going to be win-win loss.
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So that's it. All right. It's getting
I think they're going to have a hard time beating Hellebuck. I do.
Yeah.
I mean, Jersey and Detroit are very, very like.
Plus,
those are games they kind of should win.
We beat Winnipeg last time. I don't think they're going to take that well. I think they're going to be up for that game. So
yeah.
All right, it's getting late where Treg is. So thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. It was a fun episode. We always love having Treg. Treg, you can find him at the Habs Unfiltered podcast, which is a top podcast, hockey podcast here in Canada. And he's a writer at the Hockey Writers. So check that out. Great writer. I love reading Treg's columns or articles. I don't know what you call that anymore. And the other guy over there, down there, you'll find him whenever I'm doing something. You might find Matt with me. You might not. And that's it. Let us know what you think in the comments. We really appreciate it. What you think about Dobes and Monty and the coach and all that. And we'll be back next week. And until then, stay safe out there. Peace out, everybody. And have a great week. And go Habs, go. And we'll see you next week. Ciao, everybody.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.